Motor vehicle accidents no doubt can be quite a scare, and you may even suffer injuries. Here to talk about your legal rights when in an accident is attorney Brian Vinsko from Vinsko and Associates in Wilkes-Barre with this week's PA Law on PA Live segment. And Brian, good to see you in place of your brother here for once.
Well, thank you very much for having me, Dave. It's good to be here.
All right. Well, we're going to talk about something serious here, obviously, an auto accident. We all have been in them, and they're obviously scary. Your first bit of advice here is you really want to kind of survey everything out, look for injuries, right?
Absolutely. And this is not just from a legal standpoint. This is from basically common sense. When you're in the car, the first thing you want to check is that you yourself, your passengers, are not injured. Also, if you're able to, check the other driver. Make sure there's no injuries in the other vehicle as well. In the event there are any injuries, first and foremost, seek medical treatment immediately, whether it be through an ambulance, 911, or in the event that your injuries may not feel severe, go see your primary care physician at some point after the accident because they can determine whether or not you've been injured.
And I've had this happen before too, Brian, where you're in a car accident and, you don't necessarily feel injured. The other person says, you might have car damage. They say, hey, let's just exchange information off the side. You don't recommend that?
Not necessarily, because in the event an injury presents itself down the road, there may be a question as to whether you are entitled to some sort of damages through a lawsuit or other sort of claim. What you would be best doing is contacting the police, have a report filed, because if there's ever a question of liability, there's things the police can do that you may not think of being jarred from an accident. Number one, interviewing the potential witnesses that have seen the accident, the drivers and other passengers that may have some story as to what exactly happened. And there also may be a position where the police report may show a diagram as to whose fault it is, and that may come in handy down the road.
And then, Brian, once you do contact your insurance company, sometimes they're going to come out and say, hey, here's a few bucks. We want you to settle this, sign it. But before you do anything like that, probably best to consult an attorney.
Absolutely. And this isn't primarily with your insurance company. Is this the other party's insurance company? If they say there was property damage in the amount of X amount of dollars, we'll cut you a check and just sign a release and you'll be fine. The problem with that may be is that if you sign that release, you may be signing away rights on a future claim if there are bodily injuries that present themselves down the road. The best thing to do is consult an attorney, have them review it, and speak to them and explore your options as to what you may have down the road or what you may be entitled to in terms of claims.
And Brian, if the situation presents itself, you may be thinking, I've got to file a lawsuit here, but you have to consider the amount of time that has passed since the accident occurred.
Absolutely. You have a 2-year statute of limitations in Pennsylvania from the time of the accident, not from the time the injuries present themselves. So although you may walk away from an accident feeling fine, you may have 6 months, a year down the road for whatever reason, and your injury may then present itself. You want to be aware that your statute begins to run the day of the accident. Another reason why it is very important to consult with an attorney. Most, if not all, attorneys do provide free consultations. My advice would be to take advantage of it. Speak to them, see what your options are, explore what damages you may have and what claims you may be able to file.
And Brian, for our viewers that need additional help, they can reach you and your brother Bill at both your number and your website, right?
Yes, our office is 570-970-9700, and you can get us on the web at www.vinsko.com.
Right, attorney Brian Vinsko doing a great job today for his brother Bill. Great to see you on the show for PA Law on PA Live, and maybe we'll see you again.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Dave. Appreciate it.
Time to head over to Brittany.
All right, it's time now to check in with our social media question of the day. Today, we want to know, do you feel that the 6-year-old Colorado transgender child should be banned from using female baths?